Tomatoes were mine. We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful.
Hi friends, welcome back to the homestead. If you're new here, my name is Lynn, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to share what's been happening here on the homestead for the last week. There was a lot that happened, so much so that I couldn't necessarily film for a specific video, but I was able to get little pieces and bits and things of everything that's been happening here for the last week, and I want to share it with you. So grab a cup of tea or coffee, if that's what you prefer. I have mine. Get comfy, and we're going to talk about everything that's been happening here on our homestead. It's been busy. So the first thing that happened a little less than a week ago, the incubator with the eggs in it. We had 9 that I thought were viable. They started hatching. We got our first one May 14th. She is quite a pretty chicken. I say she, we don't 100% know for sure yet because they're still so tiny to check their wings, but I'm hoping she is. She's very friendly. As soon as I put my hand in for pets, she loves pets. It's crazy. I've never had such a friendly chick. The first one hatched May 14th, and Grace and I got to watch it, and it was amazing. We've never actually in person seen that happen before, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a little emotional. It really was, to see, you know, that new little life peck its way out of that egg. And then once she started, her chirping and everything started moving the eggs around, started all the others. The second one was born later into the 14th, and then the other 2 were both born on the 15th. So we got 4. The others, they were starting to smell, so I knew that nothing was going to happen there. Will we do it again? Absolutely. Not with this incubator. I am going to be looking for a new one. We won't be doing any more chicks this year, I don't think. I always say that, and then, you know, something happens, but I don't plan on doing any more chicks this year. But I do want to get another incubator. Through my fails and successes, humidity is very, very important with an incubator because it helps lubricate the chick inside the egg, and it helps soften up the egg so it's a little bit easier to peck. I had no way of checking the humidity. I do now. I do have a thermometer with a humidity gauge also. It's actually in the brooder right now, making sure the temperature stays correct for the chicks. But I did pick that up, and I want an incubator where I can add the water, which adds the humidity, without having to open the lid. That is a terrible design flaw, terrible. I don't know why they thought that would work. It's awful. So yes, I will be doing it again, but we'll be looking for another incubator. 4 chicks for our first time. We started with 12. We ended up with what we thought were 9. We got 4. That is almost 50%. That's pretty darn good. I guess it is 50 technically, roughly. Anyway, I'm pretty happy. Now, if they're all hens, we're golden. We think we definitely have 1 roux. So we will see. I will definitely keep you updated. We put a mirror in with them yesterday, and they're so funny. They definitely like it. They love the little bit of grass that we put in there too for them. They've been sleeping on it. So they're starting to already lose their fluff on their wings. So that was the first thing that happened this week. Very exciting. Grace and I, we loved it. It was amazing. My next project that I got to in this past week was making ketchup. I had 13 pounds of tomatoes still in my freezer from last summer, and I originally was going to freeze dry them, but I decided no, I didn't want to buy any more ketchup. That, you know, if I don't make it, we don't eat it. Condiments is one of the things I'm slowly trying to work my way through of not having to buy anymore. So I thought this is perfect. I can turn these into ketchup. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it took several days. It took 2.5 days, first on the stove, and then I eventually put them to the crock pot to cook down because it was taking forever. It's not as thick as I would like, but at that point it had been cooking forever. But I mean, you know, it's in a mason jar anyway, so we're gonna have to scoop it out with the spoon regardless. It tastes amazing. It was still a little sweet for our taste, so I did add another jar of my homemade tomato sauce and 1 can of tomato paste trying to thicken it up. I did that like the second day in and let that all cook down, and I did strain out all of the seeds and just immersion blended everything, but it tasted pretty good. So that will take, what I got there will take us right through to the summer, probably into fall, and I will definitely be making more ketchup with this year's tomatoes if we ever get them planted, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So yeah, ketchup, check. Got that off our list and got all those tomatoes out of my freezer. My next project, I had a lot of things going this week, which is, like I said, it's one of the reasons I didn't want to necessarily stop and film every single step because it takes twice as long when you do that. But my next project was one that I'm really happy with. I freeze-dried rhubarb that I harvested. So the first harvest of the season that got freeze-dried was rhubarb. I wish you could feel this. It feels so weird. There used to be a candy that I used to get when I was little in the States. My mom used to get them, and I think they were peppermints, but they were like a wafer material, and you'd put them in your mouth and they'd melt immediately. That's what this rhubarb feels like. It's very strange. Took about 18 hours. I added extra time just because I wanted to make sure it was really good and dry, but it is, and I've sealed it. I've taken the air out, and there is not an oxygen absorber, but I have a food grade silica packet in here because I do plan, this isn't necessarily going to be long-term storage. This is more through the next few months kind of storage, so I didn't think I needed, and I'll be opening it often, so I don't want to waste my oxygen absorber for that. But yeah, so I got this, which is not quite full, and a full one. And I harvested the rest of my rhubarb over the weekend, and that's in the freezer, and I'll probably be freeze drying that. I'm going to test this first in a recipe to see how it holds up, and then I'll determine if the rest of that's going to stay frozen or get freeze dried. So I got rhubarb off my to-do list, freeze drying rhubarb, which leads us into the next freeze drying project. I decided I wanted to freeze dry lilacs and apple blossoms to make soap. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming. And once I get everything planted, I'm going to have a big soap day, I think, where I can do it all outside. But first, I needed to get the lilacs freeze-dried. Not a lot of help with Harvest Right on flowers on the app or anything. I looked, but there was a lot of videos on YouTube, but still didn't quite answer my questions. So I said, okay, we're going to experiment. So I harvested a whole whack from our yard of purple lilacs, and I asked my neighbor Kelly if I could harvest some of her white lilacs, and she didn't even know she had them. White lilacs, but yes, I don't have a white lilac, so I wanted to do them. And I thought, okay, I know they can't necessarily go in dry because as they're freeze drying, they would just blow around in the freeze dryer. So I thought, well, let's freeze them. Not even thinking, what does freezing do to the flowers? Well, freezing is just, it's a frost. It does not work. So yeah, I got them out of the freezer, took off all the lids, got them loaded in the freeze dryer. Didn't think I had to put it, I did a custom. I did put it down higher temperature for freezing because they were frozen, but the freeze dryer said nope, it still needed to go down to -10. So they got to -10, and I started looking at them during the day, and they weren't looking great, but I thought, okay. So I took them out last night, and this is what I had. These, believe it or not, were purple. Were purple lilacs that are now brown and, quite frankly, smell awful. I had dumped, this is all it. I just saved a little just so I could show you. We actually had to throw them out. They smelled terrible. So I said, okay, let's try this again. This time I just wetted them down. We picked some more, we wetted them down, and I got them right into the freeze dryer right away. Kept an eye on them, didn't add extra time or anything, just let my freeze dryer tell me when it was done. So I think it was about 12 hours. And I have crushed them all up, but they smell like lilac and they definitely retained their color. So I'm gonna try and get a few more white ones from Kelly's yard again and get some white ones going. But the apple blossoms I froze, and it took a lot because I got quite a few off our property, and then we found some wild. I thought I'd let them dry up and then freeze dry them. They turned brown. They looked like toasted coconut, actually. They turned brown, so all that, what a waste. It really bothers me. Not only the work finding them all and picking them all and taking all the petals off, it's the waste of them. And yeah, so David and I are gonna go out apple blossom foraging again today when he gets home, get a few more and try them like I did the lilacs, and I will let you know how they turned out. was really disappointed. But the lilacs worked after much experimenting and failures. But that's okay. We don't learn from our successes, we learn from our failures. So my suggestion, if you're gonna do flowers, don't freeze them first. Of course not, because it's basically a frost and it kills them. Next project I got to was, I mentioned this during my hamburger bun video that I shared with you all last week, and I'll share that somewhere here, which by the way, they were awesome. We had hamburgers this weekend and I took a couple out of the freezer. They were so good, so good. Highly recommend that recipe. I decided to make easy sub rolls so we could have them for the long weekend. It was our long weekend here. For easy, quick lunches. And we were in the grocery store and I looked at them and I said, no, Lynn, if you can't get them to them today, you'll get to them first thing in the morning. So that's what I did. I got up Saturday morning early, got them all made, and they turned out amazing. And here's a picture of them. They were so good. David loved them. I believe they're gone. I think he had one more sandwich yesterday with them. So I got that off my list. I definitely need to probably triple that recipe so I can get some frozen. So because what's happening here with the weather this week, I actually might get to that this week because I'm not planting anything anytime soon. If you can see behind me, that is all my seedlings. One thing we did not get done this weekend was planting, and that's because the weather has decided that we are going back to fall. We had 70s and 80-degree temperatures all leading up to the weekend. Beautiful out, warm. I got some things done with the seedlings were happy. They were looking a little bit rough because they need to get into the ground, but they weren't doing too bad. And then bam, we got so cold here at night. I had to turn the heat on yesterday morning and this morning. When I woke up this morning at 6, it was 32 degrees. So I'm assuming we had a frost, but when I came downstairs, I couldn't see one. But it was cold. And Thursday this week, today is Tuesday, Thursday this week is supposed to get only to a high of 46. So I don't think the plants are gonna go out at all. We're waiting for it to warm up here. It's supposed to reach into the 50s in the next hour or so I'll get them out. But in the meantime, my tomatoes looked terrible. They were looking so unhappy and I lost quite a few of them. I think I started out with 60, I was down to 50. I think now I'm down to about 47. I had to up pot. I did up pot 50 and then 3 did not make it. 50 tomato plants on the weekend and got ate alive by bugs. I don't know if you noticed, but I actually have a bug bite on my eye where they got me. 50 tomatoes up potted them. They seem happier now, but they're still not as happy as they would be if they could be in the ground. And right through to this weekend is going to be cold. So I don't plan on planting anything till next week. Closer to June 1st, quite frankly. And I just hope I can keep everything alive. They're looking at tomatoes are the only things that seem to be struggling a bit. My basil's getting so tall. I'm debating about trimming it and saving those leaves until I can freeze dry them. I already have a bag started, so I might trim them before I plant them. But yeah, one thing that did not get done this weekend was planting. Too cold. We did get all of the raised beds. Not only were they put together, but Dave and I got the new ones all filled with soil. We filled them, the really tall one from Vagiga that I got, which by the way, they are more expensive, but they are worth it. What a difference in quality with the raised bed compared to the ones I bought from Amazon. There's just no comparing. Very nice, but they do have a high price tag, but it's one of those things that's worth it. We got that 3/4 of the way filled with, luckily because of the ice storm, we had lots of branches and grass clippings and everything to fill it. And it still took 10 bags of soil. I did put a layer of cardboard down first just so I didn't lose all that soil. So there's about, I'd say we're about this deep in the Vagiga, maybe even a little deeper with soil. And I'm going to, because of where we have it, it's on the shelf. The shelf is right above that I have there. That's where I'm going to be planting my strawberry spinach and some lettuce. And I'm really excited for the strawberry spinach. I've never planted it, I've never had it, but it sounds good. And I'm thinking in salads and things, it's gonna be delicious. And it actually does have little flowers and berries that come out that look like strawberries. So I'm really excited for that. The other thing that happened while we were doing that, I don't know if you can see, I cut my head here. It is very sore. I've got a knot and quite the bruise forming. I whacked my head not once, but twice on the 2x4 that was sticking out of the shelf that David he didn't get a chance to cut that last year, and I was in no big hurry, though, truth to be honest, I whacked my head on it several times last year. But the second time I whacked it this past weekend, that hurt. Like, I saw stars. I'm not gonna lie, some tears came to my eyes. That one hurt. So David, we had the chainsaw out because we were cutting up all the dead trees and things to fill the raised beds. He chopped them right off. So hopefully I don't hit my head anymore. And then amongst all of the work, Dave and I did manage to have some fun. We did go it was so miserable one of the days. I think it was Saturday, between rain and cold. We decided to do a little vintage run, and we found a new place we hadn't been to and a place we haven't been to for a while. And I thought I'd share with you what we found. The first place we went to, I collect rolling pins, vintage rolling pins. Not necessarily tons of them, but I do have this really cute Pioneer Woman rolling pin holder that I picked up that I adore. And the rolling pins that I already had, which technically they are vintage because one of them is over 20 years old, so my daughter told me, that's vintage, Mom. I need one more to fill in, but I love this rolling pin holder. I just think it's so nice, and I just love the idea of thinking of the ladies who use these rolling pins to bake for their families, and now I own them. They're just the quality. There's a reason why they're 50 years old and still work amazing. They last forever. So I have actually been looking for one of these for a while, and the prices have been kind of crazy on them. And unfortunately, the place we went to, it was an older gentleman. He'd been there 57 years, and he was going out of business because he's saying it hasn't been good. But so I managed to get this for $5. Like, I have not seen them for less than 30. Maybe 20 was the lowest, but I wasn't willing to pay 20. But I was willing to pay 10, but it was 50% off. It's a glass rolling pin. And they would put really cold water in here, cap it, and that way it would keep their pastries cold, the butter cold, which I think is genius. And I did wash it, but it looks like it needs more washing. Now, it is missing its cap, but I'm going to go to our library. They have a 3D printer, and see if I can get a cap printed, 3D printed, so I'll be actually able to use this, because I don't want it just for looks. I also want to use it. So I got that for $5. And in the same place, I picked this up for $2.50. It was originally $5, but something about it just spoke to me. And it's this little vase that I actually have two lilacs in. This was $2.50. It's nice and heavy. And I thought, if I can find more of these and have like 4 on my table, would that not look beautiful as a little runner? So it looks like somebody needs, I will say, they suck up water very quickly. But I got that for $2.50. I just thought that was beautiful. In our second place we went to, we had been there before, but it had been a long time since we went. I found a new Belique vase, again, on sale, 25% off. So I ended up getting this much cheaper than I thought. It is Belique. I love Belique pottery. I have quite a few pieces, and this is something I don't have. This is totally different, little bud vase. So I picked up that. And then at the same place, I also found another Irish treasure. You know me in Ireland. I got this beautiful tablecloth and napkins that's all hand embroidered. Is that not gorgeous? I did a little bit of evidence. I did a little bit of research on this company called Sundew Linen. A few of the things do, like, on Etsy and eBay and things pop up on it, and it actually has a number on it. If you can see that, telling me what number it is. HL1 50/35. So that has that. There is a little stain on it, but I'm pretty sure I can get it out. But it's actually called a bridge, one embroidered bridge set. So you get 1 30 by 36 tablecloth and 4 napkins. And I don't necessarily know if I'm going to put this on my kitchen table. I might put it on my nightstand or something. I haven't decided, but I'm going to wash that up today, actually, because it may be cold out, but it's sunny. So I picked that up, and I got that for $15. I thought that was very reasonable for, and it's from the 50s. That I was able to find out. It is 1950s. So yeah, so we did manage to get some fun in amongst all our work. And yeah, I was pretty happy. We had a good day. Dave and I had fun. We always have fun together. I always tell the kids, you know, marry your best friend. Like, marry someone that you can have fun with, laugh with, enjoy being together, because you're going to be together. So yeah, we had a lot of fun. So we did that. One of the things that came during all this, actually the day the chicks hatched, and I was so excited, I've been waiting for it, I got a new book. It's called Ancient Remedies Revived. And my friend Holly, who runs the Marmor chapter of the Women in Homesteading and is actually the creator of Women in Homesteading, the whole shebang, she recommended this at one of our last meetings, and we were talking about women in keeping healthy. Women in homesteading have a very high, we have one of the highest amounts of stress level, women in homesteading and farming especially, which I totally understand. You know, my heart goes out to farmers, because making your living from depending on the weather, I can't imagine. Just me trying to grow food to feed my family, I find stressful because it's dependent on the weather. But to actually make your living doing it, it's my hats off to all of you. But I have to tell you, this I haven't been excited about a new book in so long. And you know, y'all know I love my books. So, but everything is in here. It tells you what the herb is, or plant, or whatever, where it originally came from, what they use it for, modern research, if it has some side effects or not, how to use it. That's my main thing. It tells you, like this fenugreek, it tells you to, you can use as an extract in many products, such as animal feed and cosmetics. Is available. You can use it dried or fresh, ground or whole, or the seeds. And it tells you the dosage, how much you can take as an adult. I mean, everything's in here. Lemon even. Lemon. So I love this. I will link Holly's link down below if any of you might be interested in this. I believe you save 10% off if you use her code, and I will link that down below. It's by Shannon, I'm going to say Greef, Greef, and Natalie Willow are the authors. I mean, look at the pictures, the drawings. I haven't really had a chance to sit down and read through it all the way like I want, but I'm absolutely going to, because a lot of these that are in here, I plant. And that's the main thing. Like, I plant, but sometimes I don't know exactly how to use them or how to take them. This book tells me that. And that is pretty much, you know, I mean, there's some things I you know, maybe didn't get footage of or whatever, but we just, even though I could not plant, which is what my plan was, I still managed to be ready. And hopefully today, or not today, but this week, I am going to finish filling all my stacker pots so they are ready just to have the plants go in. I did plant some nasturtiums yesterday on a pot on my deck, and I'm hoping to get my strawberry spinach and my lettuce seeds planted, because they can withstand a little bit cooler temperatures. They're going in as seeds, they're not going in as seedlings. I hope to get that done. I have a feeling when planting starts, it's going to be a crazy couple of days, just plant. So hopefully it will be on a weekend where I can get, you know, some help out there, because it definitely, I would not have been able to get all this done without David's help this weekend. It was exhausting. And my back is telling me it was exhausting. So I'm trying to take today and rest a little bit and not do too much, maybe a little bit of laundry, and that's it. So that's it, friends. That was our week on the homestead. The chicks are doing amazing. They're growing so fast. You know, they're such entertainment too. They're not, you know, please pray that they're all hens so I don't have to try and find a home for the roos, because if not, when they're big enough, they probably will become into the freezer, unfortunately. But that's the reality of homesteading. I can't have another, you know, I already have one roo. I can't be having more. I do not want to be looking out at death battles every day, or somebody getting hurt or needing things like that, because we have no vets around here who will look at chickens. None. So everything has to be our own doctoring. And again, when it comes to living creatures, I take it very seriously, and I'm very nervous because I don't want to do anything that's going to kill them. So I tend to second guess myself a lot. But my friend Tanya told me to knock it off. I was doing great. I know what I'm doing. Stop. But I do get a little nervous because they are a living creature. It's different between growing an animal and a plant. I don't want to kill either one, but killing a plant is not as bad as doing something wrong and killing an animal. That bothers me. You have to let me know down in the comments what the weather is like where you all are. I think it's pretty cold everywhere here in Ontario. I don't think there's a warm place yet in Ontario or Canada for that matter. I have friends in New Brunswick who are saying the weather there has not been great. It was, and they had warm weather like us, and then a total 360, and we are back in fall. Somehow, I guess spring was nice. It was short, but it was nice. Until then, friends, take care, God bless, and we'll see you all soon.